Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. This is a special event for us. Great law schools are filled with not only great faculty who are top researchers and scholars, but they're also people who care greatly about what occurs in the classroom. Each year at the end of the spring semester, we pause to recognize those teachers that are the heart of our law school and to honor those whose contributions have been judged to be exceptional over the past year or more. We recognize exceptional teaching achievement in two ways at the law school. Several years ago, the trustees of Indiana University created the Trustees Teaching Award to recognize, quote, excellent and meritorious teaching that is demanding, effective, and creative. This year, we honor 4 of our faculty with Trustee Teaching Awards. I will also be privileged to present the Leon Wallace Teaching Award, the highest teaching honor that we can bestow upon our faculty. Let me begin by thanking the family of Leon Wallace for making this award possible. Dean Wallace was the dean of the law school in the 1950s. At the time of his retirement, it was noted that he served 28 years in the law school, 15 years in dean capacity, and the remainder as a faculty member. We're also very grateful, if I believe correctly, to welcome his daughter, am I right, Susan Hayes Volker in the back, and also his grandson, Wallace Hayes. Many thank you for coming. Susan has been coming to this ceremony for many, many years. Susan's been coming to this event for many, many years, and we really appreciate the commitment and dedication. This is a great legacy that Dean Wallace left with the school, and we appreciate it. The selection of the Faculty Teaching Awards is led by a student committee. The student committee helps with the nomination of the faculty. They take their charge incredibly seriously. They review teaching evaluations. They consult with other classmates in the student body. And they did it this year in record time. And so this year's committee deserves our special thanks. Let me introduce them, and then I'll ask you to applause. First is Jace Bourne. Jace graduated summa cum laude in criminal justice and psychology at Ohio Northern University before coming to Maurer. During her time here, she was a 2015 Sherman Minton Moot Court semifinalist with oral advocacy honors. She's a notes and commenter editor for the Indiana Law Journal, and the 1L officer and 2L officer, in her 1L and 2L year, she served as the social chair of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity. Second is Eric Least. Eric received a BS in Business Administration Finance from the Fisher College of Business at Ohio State University, where he also studied aerospace engineering. In his time at the law school, he has been the vice chairman of the Student Bar Association, a member of the Indiana Journal of Global Legal Studies, and an IU undergraduate mock trial coach. Third is Star Martinez. Star graduated from the University of Texas at El Paso with a BA in Organizational and Corporate Communication before coming to Maurer. During her time here, she has been an admissions fellow, has served as an admissions committee member, as well as the vice president of LAWSA before becoming the president in 2016. Please join me really thanking they've done tremendous work. We started a new tradition a couple of years ago that the student members of the committee present the awards. It's part of my cunning plan to get off the podium. So at this time, let me welcome to the stand Eric, who's going to present the first teaching award.
Well, thank you very much, Dean Parrish. So our first teaching award today is for Professor Laura Daghe. She's an incredible legal educator who is very deserving of this award because she is the perfect LRW professor. She demands excellence from her students and possesses the skills to instill it in them. Not only are her teaching skills exceptional, however, but she also genuinely cares about her students, both of which are reflected in her phenomenal evaluations. As one student aptly put it, her only weak point is that she has none. One of the most underappreciated skills that an instructor can possess is the ability to motivate students. But this is a quality that Professor Daghe has in droves. Her glowing evaluations reflect this. Many students put this best by stating that she pushed us to be the best that we can be. The same sentiment is echoed again and again throughout her evals. Students find that the no-nonsense, real-world atmosphere she cultivates in her class clearly sets forth expectations so that students do their absolute best and nothing less. What makes Professor Daghe truly exceptional, however, is that she doesn't just demand excellence from her students, but she has the teaching ability to draw it out. Students appreciate the clarity of her explanations, and if they do not initially understand the information, she's willing to approach topics from a different perspective. Moreover, her availability is legendary among 1Ls, from late night emails to always being in her office willing to talk. Professor Daghe is able to do this, however, because she genuinely cares about her students' success. They feel that she is dedicated and devoted, that she takes each student's progress seriously, and that she clearly wants her students to succeed. In fact, many of her students expressed sorrow for other 1Ls who didn't get to have her for LRW. She is the ideal LRW professor and is an excellent choice for the Trustees Teaching Award.
Laura, I meant to say before you leave, we're going to take photographs at the end too, so don't go anywhere. At this time, Sar Martinez, would you like to present the second teaching award?
Professor Victor Quintanilla has a deep compassion for students and commitment to teaching. Another student writes, Professor Quintanilla cares about my future as a lawyer and as a person. Aside from clear indications that Professor Quintanilla is amazing in the classroom, he accomplished something extremely special this past year. Incoming 1Ls did not know it, but before the fall of 2016, Professor Quintanilla was preparing to launch an experience-based project that would allow 1Ls to gain real-world legal experience in their first semester of law school. The Access to Justice project that gave students the ability to work with local lawyers and legal aid programs is referenced throughout the student evaluations as extremely challenging, but nonetheless a good idea. It really pushed me and made me understand the reality of our legal system for a large number of individuals, one student writes. This is what teaching is all about. Professor Quintanilla put faith in each of his students. He created real opportunities for 1Ls to grow and achieve a lesson in the law that is typically only offered to rising 2Ls and 3Ls, part of their summer internships. Professor Quintanilla's dedication to the legal profession and each individual student's education is evident through his creation of these opportunities. Professor Quintanilla makes civil procedure, an otherwise dry legal area, interesting and enjoyable. Never thought I'd put those two things in a sentence. Professor Quintanilla is a sympathetic, eager, understanding, committed, and inspiring human being. More than half of the class indicated that Professor Quintanilla motivated them to do their best work. A professor who can motivate, educate, and stimulate the minds of students as effectively as Professor Quintanilla should be awarded and achieve award-winning status. Congratulations, Professor Quintanilla.
I am pleased to present the next Trustees Teaching Award to Professor Steve Sanders. Professor Sanders promotes discussion and helps develop ideas and analysis during class. Aside from being knowledgeable about the law and the courses that he teaches, he is an expert at facilitating classroom discussion. Throughout Professor Sanders' evaluations, students refer to Professor Sanders as helpful and accommodating, fantastic, and wonderful. Professor Sanders makes students feel comfortable debating one another in class. He provides breathing room for students to experience one another's reactions and ultimately helps them learn how to respond. He addresses hot-button issues in the law and does his best to take them head-on. Most importantly, Professor Sanders is extremely considerate of the law student and is, according to one student, the most approachable professor he's had in law school. On one occasion, a student alerted Professor Sanders to the fact that he wanted to take Professor Sanders' course, but another course that was being taught at the same time. And the student expressed that a lot of students felt the same way. So Professor Sanders, without a thought, changed his course time so that students would be able to take both classes. While this seems simple, it is extremely telling about Professor Sanders' dedication to students. According to another student, Professor Sanders has a way of making everything in his courses fit together. Professor Sanders is excellent at his job. Upward of 75% of students said they would recommend his courses. Nothing speaks to the ability of a professor in law school where there are so many courses and so many professors to teach those courses than that accommodation. For that reason, I am pleased to award Professor Steve Sanders with the Trustees Teaching Award today.
Dar is going to join us again for the Adjunct Trustee Teaching Award.
Found it. Okay. Professor Sylvia Orenstein is dedicated to and personally invested in the success of each of her students. Not only is she extremely knowledgeable in the areas of criminal law and appellate practice and procedure, she is unbelievably available to provide feedback and general advice to each individual student, mostly at their convenience, including mine. I had her. A retired public defender, Professor Orenstein brings real life into the classroom. She shares experiences and stories of her time as a public defender in the appellate division and is always happy to continue the conversation over coffee. Although Professor Orenstein is especially knowledgeable in New Jersey law, she takes it upon herself to research and learn about each student's jurisdiction, like Texas, mine. At the beginning of the course, she asks students where they intend to practice. If they haven't decided, she generally defaults to their home state. Either way, it certainly adds a personal touch that students find hard to forget. Personal touch, class management, and availability all seem to be continuing themes in her student evaluations. In addition to giving students a clear and concise breakdown of appellate practice, she provides written examples, brings in speakers, and gives students continuous feedback that allow them to truly practice the craft of appellate writing. Students describe Professor Orenstein as inspiring, approachable, clear, and caring. One student wrote, "She is also very understanding and supportive when outside events impact classroom responsibilities. One of Maurer's finest." It is evident that Professor Orenstein is an excellent candidate for the Adjunct Award. And now that she's receiving it, unfortunately, she is not here to accept the award, but Dean Parrish will be here to say a few words on her behalf. So congratulations, Professor Orenstein.
There's a lot of stuff underneath this desk. Noel. As Star said, Sylvia wasn't able to join us today, but she did send me an email and asked that I read it, which I'm happy to do. Just a few words to express how grateful I am for this award. I feel very honored to receive it. An ancient rabbi once said, quote, "I have learned much from my teachers, more from my colleagues, and most from my students." In my life, I have been lucky to have had wonderful teachers. At IU, I found brilliant and generous colleagues. But most of all, I've learned from my students. They've worked hard, offered keen insights, and delighted me with innovative approaches to old problems. I love teaching and being taught by them. Thank you so much. I thought it was nice. At this time, I get to present the Leon Wallace Teaching Award. And this year, the honor goes to Professor Ryan Scott. find it a privilege to be able to present this award each year, although I have to say I feel a little guilty. Everybody else gets articulate students, and you get stuck with me, Ryan. But I'm going to read what the students wrote as they put together the nomination for you. Professor Scott's impact is undoubtedly felt both inside and outside of the school. On more than one occasion, students have indicated that Professor Scott's courses are, quote, incredible. One student noted that she would not have been able to survive a criminal law internship for a prosecutor's office without his class. And another noted that she used the slides he posts from class every day during the time in the public defender's office. Therefore, not only does he emphasize the theoretical learning traditionally taught in law schools, he also makes sure that his lessons transcend to work outside the classroom. Quote, tough but fair, Professor Scott is a Socratic method teacher who ties the course materials together with every cold call, which keeps students on their toes, end quote. In his evaluations, students lauded his well-organized lectures and enthusiastic teaching style, writing that his passion was motivating and made learning accessible. Professor Scott also received praise for the teaching that he did outside the classroom, and he's extremely involved in all aspects of Maurer life, volunteering his time and expertise to judge multiple rounds of the Moot Court competition every year, helping prepare students by practice judging for external Moot Court competitions, and this one I'm worried about, but offering his Pokemon Go skills during this year's Women's Law Caucus auction. I'm not even going to mention the singing for summer salaries debacle, but no. For these reasons, the committee extends a nomination for Professor Scott and believes he's incredibly well deserving of this year's award. Ryan, congratulations. Well, that concludes this year's Teaching Award ceremony. One more round of applause. Thank you for the committee for all the work, and thank you for all the award winners.